Well, here's a headline for you. Almost half of Americans died nearly broke, and that's from a recent USA Today article.
The article highlights the importance of saving early and making sure you have a structured retirement plan.
Yeah, Omaha's retirement strategist Daryl Bryant is here with some insight. Daryl is one of the area's leading financial advisors and retirement planners. He also hosts his very own weekly retirement radio show on 1110 KFAB. It's good to have Daryl in this morning. Good to see you, Daryl.
Great to be here.
Hello.
The headline we were talking about, that's quite a headline. But those are people you're talking about that simply haven't saved and planned the right way, not people that have this pot of money and spend it all before they die.
Yeah,
Right?
what's incredible in our very wealthy country is that our retirees are really, really vulnerable going into retirement. To say that 69% of all Americans admit to only having $1,000 saved, or 34% I read say they have no savings whatsoever. We don't see a lot of that in our office, naturally, because we're an income generating plan from life savings, et cetera, but we know it exists in Omaha, and we know the savings habits are terrible nationally, and we just don't do a very good job of encouraging people to save, I don't think.
Well, I didn't know it was that bad. I mean, I know personally I don't save like I would like to, but hey, I'm learning early, starting right now. Has it always been this bad?
I think it's probably gotten worse. I think that we've done a really, really bad, I think our dads probably did a poor job at training us to save, and the reason is because they had a pension, and if they have their pension plus a little bit of savings, well, they're probably going to be okay. Well, most of our retirees these days statistically don't have a pension and they don't have any savings, and so it's really a sad state of affairs. I think that we do a terrible job as a nation in encouraging people to not to save, to purchase on debt. If you can afford the payment, go ahead and get it, and keeping up with the Joneses and all the things that go along with that. I think we just do a terrible, terrible job of doing that. Most of us have to be kind of headlocked into getting involved in the 401k. The educational ability or the knowledge of the typical person that comes into our office is, even we're talking about CEOs or doctors or attorneys or whatever it might be, but their knowledge of financial matters is really kind of surprising. In other words, they're great savers. A lot of the people that come in the office, they've done a good job saving that come into the office, but still they don't know much about these vehicles, and they don't know much about taxes. It's just we don't educate very well in this country, I don't think.
Right, but it has grown more complicated. I mean, ever since the departure of the pension, it left the onus on the individual to save and to manage that stuff. But what can we do to really beat the odds and to make sure that we're successful when it comes to retirement?
Well, number one is, I would say, Mike, that's a great question. First of all, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Our culture is terrible, and so you're going to have to do a 180 and head the other direction. So rather than thinking about whether or not you can afford a payment, number one, think about what you're purchasing relative to your net worth or relative to your total income. You know, that's an entirely different. You know, that's an entirely different question.
Can I afford this payment? Well, you might be able to afford it. Like, you can make the payments.
Sure.
But should you?
Sure, and you're probably doing that math thinking about purchasing a depreciating asset. So can I afford the payment to purchase something that's going to go down in value? It just on its face doesn't really make sense if you stop and think about it, but that's what our culture does. Cut up to credit cards, set a budget. Listen, if you would make a decision, and you'll probably have to revamp your entire finances and say, listen, here's what I'm going to do. I had to be saving about 20% of what I earn net. So if we're earning, let's say, $100,000, and so we're netting down to say $77,000
after taxes,
after taxes, let's just say, wouldn't it be wise to set up your budget so you're living on 80% of that $77,000 and then saving the other 20%? Now that means that you're probably not going to get a new car. That means you might drive a car for a little longer, and you might spend a little bit more on maintenance going for the longer term goal. But you're going to have to make some sacrifices currently. And so what if you don't drive a brand new car every 3 or 4 years? It really doesn't matter in the scheme of things. We're the wealthiest nation on the planet, and yet we have terrible savings habits, and our retirees are in dire straits as a nation going into retirement, and that is just it's really a pretty sad state of affairs statistically.
Well, you have so much great advice. I mean, just endless advice and tips that are amazing for everyone. But another thing that you recommend, and you actually have a special offer for us with that, is a book that can help us out, right?
Yes.
A book by Robert Kelly. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Patrick Kelly, a good friend of mine.
Robert.
Yeah, that's okay. Patrick Kelly is a good friend of mine out of Portland, Oregon. He's written many, many best-selling books. This is Stress-Free Retirement. We'd be happy to get that for you. We have a lot of publications. Really, anything that you would want to learn about, we probably have something that either I've written or we know the author that has written something. But this is a good one, Stress-Free Retirement by Patrick Kelly.
25 copies today for Blend viewers who qualify. So grab that pen and a piece of paper. Write this number down: 402-932-2141. Again, call them now to claim your copy of the book, Stress-Free Retirement. And you can also check out dbryantretirementstrategies.com. But the key here, that I guess pay yourself first is what they're saying. And you're saying 20% of what you take home should go into savings.
Absolutely. Live within your means, start saving some money, set a budget, forget what everybody else is doing.
Gotcha.
Right.
Darryl, thanks a lot for your time today. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
The morning blend returns in less than 3 minutes.